Day 971 now of the Trump administration. This president, who is very fond of saying, we'll see what happens, is quickly running up against some hard realities which may not wait for him. Today, he was in California, where he's expected to raise $15 million for his reelection campaign. Meanwhile, the most pressing issues he is facing, like Iran and the tension his own Twitter account has caused, are not going away. U.S. intel, as you may know, is making it known they believe that this attack on Saudi Arabia's main oil facility, a strike that was so large the smoke plume was visible from space, originated in Iran. It instantly cut the world's available oil supply by 5 to 6%. NBC News reporting U.S. intelligence indicates cruise missiles fired at the oil facility came from at least one location, they say, in western Iran. White House reportedly weighing a range of retaliatory actions against Iran, from cyber all the way to kinetic warfare. And after saying the U.S. military was locked and loaded, now Politico reports that the president is leaning against an Iran strike. Earlier today, aboard Air Force One, he told reporters this about a potential sit-down with Iran's president, quote, "I never rule anything out, but I prefer not meeting him." Mike Pence, however, used Trump's words to reiterate America's military readiness to act if necessary.
As the president said, we don't want war with anybody, but the United States is prepared. We're locked and loaded, and we're ready to defend our interests and our allies in the region. Make no mistake about it.
Again, with the locked and loaded, tonight, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo on his way to Saudi Arabia, where he will meet with friend of the administration and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to discuss responses to Iran. Earlier on this network, former CIA Director John Brennan laid out the administration's dilemma.
Well, I know that Donald Trump does not want to get into a war with Iran, but unless he wants to repair the damage with Iran, meaning he wants to, reinstitute the Iran nuclear agreement, he doesn't have a lot of good options, but he cannot leave this unaddressed.
Of course, you'll recall the departure of John Bolton. That means Trump is walking into this crisis without a permanent national security advisor. Today, perhaps sensing that, he named 5 candidates for the post, although the White House says there are other names under consideration aside from the 5 he mentioned. As Trump tries to navigate a possible confrontation in the Middle East, he is also looking for a way to dial back the trade war with China. This gets interesting. Today, he said, quote, "I think there'll be a deal maybe soon, maybe before the election or one day after the election. And if it's after the election, it'll be a deal like you've never seen. It'll be the greatest deal ever." He added that he believes Beijing thinks he is going to win re-election, but that Chinese officials would prefer to be dealing with someone else. His comments came days before U.S. and Chinese negotiators met for the first time in almost 2 months now. Also, while he was in California today, Trump renewed his complaints about the homeless in our country. There was this quote, "We can't let Los Angeles, San Francisco, and numerous other cities destroy themselves by allowing what's happening. We have people living in our best highways, our best streets, our best entrances to buildings, where people in those buildings pay tremendous taxes, where they went to those locations because of the prestige." The White House has recently ramped up efforts to address the increase in homelessness in their own way. Trump has largely blamed the Democrats. The other domestic issue looming over this White House is gun legislation. That brings us to yet another front. Republican congressional leaders, McConnell and McCarthy, could not be more clear. They are going to sit this one out until they find out what the president wants to do. Today, the Attorney General Barr joined the White House legislative director, going to Capitol Hill at the president's request to get input from senators on a possible bill. Well, tonight, Democratic senators took to the floor, where New York Democratic Senator and former presidential candidate Kirsten Gillibrand had some very direct words for the Republican presiding over the Senate at the time, Martha McSally of Arizona.
Madam President, I'm speaking to you and to every other Republican in this chamber. because we all have a responsibility to do the right thing and stand up to the NRA and stand up to the greed and corruption that is in this country today that makes every decision about whether we have a vote on common sense gun reforms. And I'd like you to look up, because I have to say, this is something all of us should be caring about, especially from Arizona, where my dear friend Gabby Giffords was shot for doing her job. It's not okay. The time for turning a blind eye is over.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.